Hi there. If you're taking the GMAT exam, aim for a score of 700 plus. This can improve your chances of getting into top schools and receiving MBA funding. However, only 12% of test takers achieve this score. I'm Webhub, and in this video, I'll share 9 tips to help you crack 700 plus on the GMAT exam, including general and specific strategies. Tip number 1, be realistic. If you're trying to increase your GMAT score by a significant amount overnight, it's unlikely that you will be successful. Preparing for the GMAT takes time and effort. Similarly, if you have already improved your score significantly through previous studies, you may find it more challenging to achieve further gains than someone who has just started studying. It's important to understand what constitutes a good score for you and for the schools you are interested in. Tip 2, be consistent and intentional. As I mentioned earlier, you cannot prepare for the GMAT by cramming. It is more effective to study for 10 hours spread over 5 days than to study for 20 hours in just 2 days. The key is to be consistent and repeat the concepts you are learning to help your brain make the necessary connections. When setting study goals, focus on accomplishments, not the time spent. For example, instead of saying, I'm going to study for an hour, a better goal would be, I'm going to complete and review 20 data interpretation practice problems. Tip number 3, use the best materials. There are numerous GMAT study materials available, but not all of them are reliable. It is crucial to ensure that you are studying the right skills, the correct traps, the suitable difficulty levels, and even the proper phrasing for the actual GMAT test. The best material for this purpose are the official GMAT material. I highly recommend using the free GMAT prep software for practice tests. If you need more practice, select up-to-date and accurate study material for the test itself. Tip number 4, focus on high-quality study over high-volume study. While taking practice tests or drilling practice problems can be good preparation, the most effective preparation comes carefully reviewing the issues that you missed, skipped, or guessed on. It is not helpful to drill more issues if you are going to make the same mistakes again. If you make the same mistakes in your study, your goal should be to figure out, number 1, why is the correct answer correct? Number 2, why was your answer wrong? Number 3, where you went wrong. Number 4, how to never make that mistake ever again. Individuals tutoring with GMAT experts can be beneficial for an analysis. If you are self-studying, GMAT-focused forums and online communities are an excellent resource for explanations of problems that you are struggling with. Tip number 5, practice self-analysis. Everyone has patterns. To study effectively, you need to identify your patterns. Otherwise, you might end up wasting your time and memory on irrelevant things and missing important ones. Test study is not one size fits all. As you study, keep track of what types of questions you missed and why you are missing them. A superficial analysis like critical reasoning is hard, won't help you much. Instead, try to identify specific issues like, I struggle with passages that lack transition words or incorrect answer choices that rely on misinterpretation of text. To do this, you should think like a test maker. With a lot of effort and free resources, you can diagnose your weaknesses. But if you're still struggling to pinpoint and improve your weaknesses, seek help. Tutoring and personalized programs can help you create a study plan that suits your need. Tip number 6, prepare for test day, not just the test. Students often perform well on practice tests but struggle on the actual test day. To avoid this, practice under conditions by timing yourself, taking the test on a computer, not using calculators. This prepares you for the actual test and helps you manage your testing anxiety. Take a few steps the morning of the test, such as doing practice problems, eating a nutritious breakfast, and taking a quick walk to ensure that you're best when you begin the exam. Tip number 7 is to manage your time effectively. It is important to strike the right balance. Not too much, not too little. During the test, you shouldn't spend too much time on a single question. But at the same time, you shouldn't rush through them either. You need to be mindful of the time, but don't let the timer distract you from the task at hand. My recommendation is to calculate the number of minutes you have per question, per section before the test. On test day, keep this in mind and monitor your progress with only a few questions. Similarly, while studying, you should maintain that same balance. Focusing solely on timed practice can harm your learning progress, but you shouldn't ignore it either. Tip number 8 is not to let the adaptive structure of the test get out of your hand. Many test takers feel paralyzed by challenging problems because they know they only have one chance to get them right. They often worry about the first 10 questions because they believe they are the most important. If they get any easier question next, they get distracted thinking about they must have missed the previous question. This kind of thinking is great to waste time on the test and is based on serious misunderstanding about the GMAT. Finally, the first 10 question thing is a complete myth. Don't buy into that and don't let it distract you. Secondly, you can miss a lot of questions and still get a 700 on your GMAT. For example, when I took the GMAT, I forgot about the first 7 verbal questions and cont and ended up still with a 700. Finally, what you think of an easy question might not be an easy question at all. You might be a better solid geometry test taker than an average person who takes the GMAT. The big takeaway here is not to try and figure out the algorithm. It's a waste of time. Do your best on the problem you're working on and then move on. Tip number 9 is to give yourself a break and guess. Many people who strive for top GMAT scores tend to be perfectionists, but striving for perfection can be detrimental to achieving a high GMAT score. As we discussed earlier, it is possible to miss several questions and still get a high GMAT score. Not completing a section, however, can be more harmful to your score than leaving a few questions unanswered. Here are a quick couple of tips for guessing. Number 1, save time on questions you know you will get it right. You can use that save time for questions that you're confident about, that you might take a little bit of more time to finish. Number 2, use the process of elimination to eliminate incorrect answer choices. If you're unsure about 2, 3, or even 4 answer choices, you can increase your chances of getting the question right by eliminating the incorrect options. Hope you liked our top 9 tips to score a 700 or higher in your GMAT. If you have any questions about what we discussed, feel free to comment below and we will be happy to respond. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, as we will be releasing more very soon. Thank you for watching and we wish you the best of luck with your upcoming GMAT studies.